Hey everyone, welcome back to the garden. My name is Jair and I just came back from a lovely holiday from the southern part of Italy. I had some relatives taking care of the garden, especially watering the garden since we still had a few warm days here in the Netherlands. And now I wanted to give you guys a tour through the garden and see what it looks like at the very end of September, now that autumn has kicked in. I'm also shooting this with my new wide-angle lens, so this is going to be a little bit more of a vlog style video. So let me take you through the garden and I'll show you what's been going on. So starting off with this sweet pea trellis in the middle of the entrance. The idea of the trellis was that when you would enter the garden, you would be greeted with a very sweet smell, and that really worked. So the sweet pea is a really fantastic way of adding a lovely smell to your garden every time you walk by. So the front plants, so to speak, have been dying off and they actually produced quite some seeds that I can use to plant next year. And over here at the back end, so to speak, there's still some sweet peas growing. Lovely smelling still, this dark purple one, but they come in a lot of variety of colors. Then the more obvious thing that you see is of course the corner trellises with the butternut pumpkins in there, and they have been growing super well. The pumpkins, for example, over here, they are so much bigger than last year. Maybe because I used seeds from a bigger butternut pumpkin, which was just a store-bought pumpkin. So there are 2 plants in each corner, and in total I think I've counted about 12 to 13 pumpkins growing right now. The plants themselves are still looking pretty good, but I'm just going to let them fully die off till the end of the season before I'm going to harvest the pumpkins. But yeah, nice harvest ahead by the looks of it. Then if we move on and we encounter the first 2 beds, or actually 4 beds, these used to be the potato beds at the very beginning of the year. These 2 housed my main potatoes, and I think together these 2 beds gave me about 10 kilograms of harvest, so that was pretty nice. After that, especially over here in the right one, I've sown a mixture of all kinds of root vegetables. So the normal radish, daikon radish, the black radish, the turnips, and this is a great way if you have some space available, especially more towards the middle of the season, and you're not really sure what to do with that space. Just throw some fast-growing root vegetables in there. I'm going to show you these in a minute, but I will also harvest a few daikon radishes because there is a way to make a certain type of kimchi with that. I've gotten a recipe online from a friend of mine, and yeah, I'm going to try that out, so I'm probably going to make a video of that as well. In the other bed over here, there's some cabbage growing over here as well as in that one over there. I've sown these a little bit later in the season, about the end of July, and I've put them into their grow beds right before I went on holiday. So they have been growing steadily. They have been attacked by critters, especially slugs and caterpillars, but they've managed to survive so far. Now, I'm not really able to tell you what kind of cabbages these are, so both this bed and the one over there, because these were seeds that came from a mixed package that contained both white cabbage, red cabbage, pointy cabbage, and Savoy cabbage. So we'll see if they survive and they grow to their full size, what kind of cabbage it actually is. So it's going to be a little bit of a surprise. Again, over here, 6 more. They look pretty well. Hopefully they can grow throughout autumn and especially the winter, so that these can actually give me some harvest during the beginning of the year. Now, the other 2 grow beds that are behind the ones I just discussed, I grew my early potatoes in there at the beginning of the year, and I wanted to try to get another harvest of potatoes from those 2 beds. So what I did is put a few store-bought potatoes in there. Now, as you can see over here, the potato plants have been growing. They are looking a little bit blackish at some of the leaves, so that might be blight. Not really sure, but I'm just gonna let them go. Over here, nothing really happened. So at some point I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna put some other plants in there. So I put some palm cabbage in there, I think it is. They are doing kind of okay. They have been really munched by critters. But at some point I saw that there were actually some potato plants growing, still growing. And that's way too late for them. So I'm probably just gonna pull them out of the ground and let the palm cabbages grow on. So yeah, that's what's going on with these two beds. Over at the right side of those two grow beds, it's hard to miss because it really has exploded. But as you can see, this is the amaranth, or these are the amaranth plants. And look at them, they're so beautiful. They are also so very alien-like with their long tentacle-like flowers. But these are really truly beautiful. And this one has actually grown so large that it is hanging on the ground. Now, we've really enjoyed the seeds of last year in our cereal. It's considered a superfood, like a super seed. So that's why I decided that I really wanted to grow it again. It's, again, such a beautiful plant, fully edible as well, very healthy for you. So I would recommend anyone, if you have a little bit of space available, to grow some amaranth, to try it. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this, so really happy with this plant. Probably gonna harvest it in, I think, a month or so. Right, so moving on to the right side, to the stone bed that I actually fully broke down and built back up again just to put some hard wire cloth at the bottom of it. This is again housing my sweet potatoes. The leaves are sort of dying back, and the nights are really starting to get colder. Like last night it was 7 degrees Celsius, and I know these plants can be very sensitive to cold, so I'm not gonna wait till like the last frost day to get them out. I'm probably gonna harvest them sooner. Last year these sweet potatoes got eaten up for the most part by the vole, so of course I'm hoping that this year the harvest will be a lot bigger and that the vole didn't get into the grow bed. Then if we move to the grow bed over here that is being connected by the arch trellis, I planted some root vegetables in here, so parsnip and carrots. The carrots, well, they didn't really survive. The parsnip did, but they're not really growing that fast. So I'm not really sure if I can expect a harvest before the end of the year, but I'm just going to let them go. Other than that, there are a few other plants in there. I tried to actually get a pup of the banana plant to grow in here. It's not really looking good, so yeah, probably a failure. Over here is the cucumber plant, and like a lot of things, it's starting to die back. I planted it about 3 times before the slugs would leave them alone, and so the cucumber harvest this year has been pretty small. There are still some hanging on there, but not too many. I think I may have gotten about 10 of them. So yeah, hopefully next year I can plant them sooner, and you know, this arch gets overgrown beautifully by the cucumbers. Then if we continue to the bed over here, which is a little bit of a weird and barren bed at the moment, you can see quite some spaghetti pumpkins lying over here. So that plant, it had been hit by powdery mildew quite early in the season, but nevertheless there are still, I think, about 12 pumpkins growing over here, so not too bad. Then there are a few sweet corn plants scattered around this bed. I've planted about 15 of them in this bed, and yeah, most of them got eaten up, and so I thought like the cobs would not really get pollinated because they were so few and far apart. But I just opened one up and I can still see quite some kernels in there, so I might actually save them up to plant them next year or use them for popcorn maybe. I've also gotten a few pepper plants from my parents, and they were quite happy to be planted in full soil because they started to produce a lot of peppers, as you can see. So yeah, I'm gonna take them home, properly dry them and make some chili flakes out of them. There's a little bit of an extra amaranth over here, you know, because why not? At the other side of the arch trellis, I planted some beetroots, and this again was a mixed package. So we had golden beetroot, regular beetroot, and then the one with the white and red stripes. That one actually we harvested and ate, and it was very lovely, so much better than the regular beetroot in my opinion. So look at this one over here. It's quite big, so maybe I'm gonna take that home later today. But yeah, this bed has been slowly growing. Nothing too special, but still okay. There's some lemon balm over here to make some tea. Then on this side, you might be thinking, what the hell is this mess? Well, you can kind of make out the shape of a grow bed over here. And that's of course the idea. I wanted to make a grow bed to plant a lot of herbs in there. It got postponed and it got overgrown. So right now, this is more of a project for maybe later in the year, but I'm not gonna plant any herbs in there anymore this year because they will probably, you know, freeze to death by the time it becomes winter. So yeah, a bit of a mess. We're gonna skip right past that to the other half of the garden. Look over here, beautiful, such a display of colors. This is of course the flower garden, and there are still a lot of bees active, so they have been loving all the different kind of flowers that are over here. In the middle, you can't really see it right now, but there is the mini pond that I created earlier this year. We actually had a frog inside of there at some point. It also passed away, probably because it couldn't get out, so you know, I need to fix that next time. But yeah, this has been a joy to see every time I walk by, to see all the bees active. They are still very active. So I'll keep this as a flower garden probably forever, if I can. The borage that's in there has self-seeded and it has been popping up everywhere. So I need to get those out of the ground. But other than that, it's been a fantastic addition to the garden. Then to the left of the flower garden are the two bean towers. They have given us quite some harvest, about I think 6 kilograms of beans in total. Like most plants in the garden, they are kind of receding right now and dying back, but I think there's still a few beans to be harvested from them. In between the two towers is what we call, I think, New Zealand spinach or ice spinach. I tried this because the regular spinach wasn't really taking off this year, and I heard that New Zealand spinach would fare a lot better in warm weather, which it did. But I tried it raw, to eat it raw, and I really did not like it. I haven't tried it stir-fried yet. Maybe that will improve the flavor, but if it doesn't, I will probably not grow this again next year. It still looks nice, but other than that, eh. If we turn around and go to the original 3 grow beds of the garden, this grow bed had quite some brassica plants in there, so kohlrabi, which really didn't do well because it got eaten by slugs. These Chinese cabbages over here have been munched on by slugs and other critters, but I think that the core of the vegetable or the crop is still okay to eat. Then over here we have some cabbages that, truth be told, I have no idea which kind of cabbages these are. I'm not even sure if they can actually make it through the winter, but we'll see. The second grow bed over here is probably the bed that has been the most productive throughout the year, and that is of course the zucchini plants or the courgette plants. I think we've easily gotten over 40 courgettes just from these 4 plants, so super productive, maybe a little bit too productive, but because at some point you're not really sure what to do with the courgettes anymore. It's a great beginner plant if you're just starting a vegetable garden, because once it gets going, it really takes off. So yeah, I mean, courgettes, what more can I say? I love them. And the third bed over here, I have some broccoli plants that I planted earlier, somewhere in the middle of summer. I think I have 2 big ones and 2 smaller ones. They're a little bit too close to each other. So I'm still hoping that this can actually give me a few crops before winter, but we'll see. Moving on to this little patch over here. This used to be the strawberry patch or the strawberry grow bed of last year. Now there are still some strawberry plants in there, however there are also a lot of other plants in there. I just let this patch be for what it is this year, and probably next year I'm gonna do something with it. Then this baby over here, this used to be the cold frame. You can still see the glass panels right beside me over here. This year I just use it as a regular grow bed. It has some Romanesco cauliflower in there, as well as some regular broccoli plants. So hopefully these plants will give us a harvest in the colder months ahead. And now we are going over to the grow dome. I've had some problems with this one. A few days ago we had some severe winds, and unfortunately it ripped off a piece of plastic, or at least it made it loose. So over here there was a big flap that we now have removed, and that caught a lot of wind, and that sort of ripped on the fabric so that this entire triangle next to the window was actually open and loose. We fixed that yesterday, I'm very glad, and we immediately removed the big plastic flaps as well. So hopefully that will make sure that it stays as it should be. It looks pretty solid and secure again, so I'm really glad that we were able to fix it on a short notice. To explain the other problem within the grow dome, I have to take you inside. Yeah, you might have guessed it, but the tomato plants inside my greenhouse were again struck by blight. And I think there are several reasons for that. First of all, I bought the greenhouse to protect my tomato plants from excessive rain and hopefully keep out the blight. But I think I had too many tomato plants, and at some point they just grew too bushy and too large, even though I've cut them back several times. This, I think, led to not enough ventilation, even though I have 2 windows in here. Also, the greenhouse is of course very humid. So that all combined still led to the fact that most of my plants are starting to die off and become black. And also the tomatoes themselves that were on the plants are, yeah, just ruined. So we still had some harvest from them, especially the yellow ones, the pear-shaped yellow ones, but most of the fruits I cannot really use. So that is a shame, but you know, you learn every day, you learn every year. So hopefully next year things will be better. I'm probably gonna plant a lot less plants than this year. But yeah, other than that, I still think this wide angle lens is awesome inside the greenhouse, because normally I really have to place the camera on one end of the grow dome and just myself being at the other end. So that at least is an improvement. All right, we are coming up to the end of the garden. Over here, this is a little bit of a mess. Don't look at that. There was, still is, kind of a pumpkin plant over here. This is also a spaghetti pumpkin. However, the shape of the pumpkins themselves is a lot more like a courgette and not like the ones that you saw earlier in the garden. Now, again, this plant has been dying back, and I think I can actually harvest these pumpkins, but I'm not really, I don't really trust them. I'm not really sure if this is actually a hybrid version, but we'll see. Now, on this side of the garden is what I call berry lane. I planted a lot of fruit bushes over here, so this is more like a long-term project. We had some harvest from there. This one over here, for example, let's see, yeah, some yellow raspberries. This bigger one over here was a thornless blackberry, and so forth over here, up until the hop plant that I already harvested from before my vacation. There are still some hop bells over there, so I can actually harvest it again. Probably will do that in the coming week. The tower construction itself is sort of temporary. It looks like a mess because the previous tower broke down, and so I put some new bamboo sticks up there just to keep it growing upward. When the season is over, I will deconstruct the tower and get rid of the old sticks and just use the new ones for next year. And on this side, of course, is the compost station, the Johnson Su bioreactor, as well as my regular compost station or my compost bin. I made a video a while back on the results of the bioreactor after a year, so do watch that if you want to find out. Spoiler, it went pretty well. Well, this is just the regular bin. It is what it is. And then over here, you might have seen this image for a long time. These water barrels, I still need to construct a water catching system with them. But you know, since we have water here on the grounds and it's been raining quite a lot this year, I really didn't have any use for them or immediate use for them. So I kept postponing this. I'm probably gonna postpone it a little bit more, but yeah, it's something that still needs to be done. All right, that's how the garden looks at the end of September. Autumn is really here. Plants are dying back, but there is still a lot of harvest to come. Before I go, I will harvest a few daikon radishes to make that kimchi with, and I'll show you how big they are. All right, I completely forgot my tripod today, so I'm just gonna do this by hand. But there are a few over here, so I'm just actually 3 of them next to each other. I'm just gonna pull one out. Oh boy. Oh, there we go. That's one, and I think this is about half a kilo. Of course, with the leaves included, which are pretty big. I'm just gonna put this to the side. Go over to the second one that you can now see a little bit more clear over there. There we go. Yeah, about the same size. And let's get a third one. Sorry for that noise. Let's get a third one over here. Man, these are huge. And again, I think I've sown these about 6 weeks ago, 7 maybe. So if you want easy, fast growing root vegetables, daikon radish is your man. All right, thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.